My name is Ludwig Buckley. I work in the contract agricultural research space in tree fruits, row crops, vegetables, ornamentals, turf work. Every season's given us a little bit of a different workload and crop load, trying to stay on top of things, trying to anticipate, what the season's going to give us, how the crops are going to perform. The goal is to make things, safer, more cost-effective, and ultimately still supporting growers. Sometimes you get wacky requests for things that people are trying to test that seem a little bit weird. But if you're not trying stuff out, if you're not willing to take on more unique projects, if you don't try it out, you won't know.
You kind of mentioned that you've become more and more responsible for the pest management stuff.
So stuff like that is always an ongoing challenge, but birds and deer mostly. So we do run a lot of electric fencing. One of the funniest things that we have that's actually been quite successful on used car lots where they have those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube man. We'll hook those up in the middle of a field on a pallet with a generator running on fuel. If you don't do that, you can see some serious damage. Or I've heard the horror stories of coming in on a Monday and your plot is just fully torn up, and then you have to make a call to the sponsor company and say, hey, sorry, but plot's gone. That's not a call anybody wants to make. Trying to keep a finger on the pulse of the health of your field and what kind of populations of insects you have in there. I mean, weeds as well develop resistance to, commercial standard materials. And then the weather will give you a curveball. As you can see out here, if you look at some of these blossoms, to the untrained eye, you're just like, oh, okay, this is a little bit past bloom, but that late frost that we got, you can see it here on this one in particular, this little browning on the petals there. That late frost really did a number on some of these earlier blooms. So this is a Crown Empire variety of apple, which is the majority of the orchard out here. And then we have some of our pollinator trees, which these are Golden Delicious, which are wonderful. You can see the trees a little bit larger. These are vigorous trees, so they grow aggressively. So keeping these trimmed is a challenge, but they also bloomed a little bit later, which probably is gonna work out to their benefit. I think they still are gonna have quite a bit of fruit loss because of that late frost, but you can still see there's some younger flowers on here that are just getting into bloom now. So these are a little bit later behind. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of fruit set we get this year. The trees are not out here to make nice, pretty apples that are delicious and look nice, and they're trying to pass on their genes to the next generation and get more apples going, just on a purely biological evolutionary standpoint. So a lot of the work that goes into fruit production is getting the right number of blossoms that can then develop into full-fledged apples. Because if you look at this, I mean, there's 5 or 6 different flowers, and if all of those wanted to try to become an apple, they would be, little grape-sized apples that would still weigh this tiny little limb down here quite a bit.
So outside of the, I know you mentioned the browning on the flowers here, are there any other kind of visual cues or symptoms that when you're out here, you're looking for?
Definitely. So there's a lot of good visual signs lacking nutritional components, or if there's some insects that are really starting to hammer them, you'll see some browning, you'll see some curling. Sometimes leaves will just start falling off, and trying to interpret what those visual cues actually mean or what the tree is trying to tell you in terms of what's happening out here. Sometimes it's something that you can identify, sometimes it's something that you can call somebody and say, hey, I'm seeing this here with my trees with this variety at this time of the year, and somebody who knows a little bit more than you do can say, oh, okay, that sounds like, you don't have enough sulfur in the ground. Or, it could be that you've got leaf hoppers coming in from the adjacent field that are, piercing and sucking the juices out of those terminal ends of the trees, and that's why you're seeing this curling effect. There's no shortage of possibilities of things that are happening, and sometimes you can identify it and take some corrective action. Sometimes you can, sometimes you lose a tree or two. We've had a phenomenal track record with this orchard in particular. A ton of work has gone into these trees between trying to gauge where the nutrient levels are at. I mean, we send leaf samples off every year for nutrient analysis to say, okay, you're doing pretty well with your fertility program, or, oh, you need a little bit more boron. They are our babies, and we try to treat them well, and they treat us pretty well too.
You talked earlier about how a lot of the work is, looking at these new biological amendments, kind of almost in conjunction with existing nutrient fertility guides, right? Like in the last 5 years since you've joined, have you seen a lot more biologicals try to come to market, or a lot more of anything? Or what are you kind of seeing as far as new products?
I mean, that's absolutely been the trend. There's always a lot of interest. There is a whole realm of new products, new biological based products. What you see is a lot more specific use scenarios that you have to have set up where, okay, I have to, in order for this product to work, it has to be applied at a certain temperature range, and then you have to have it applied before rainfall or in a time period where there's not a lot of rainfall. The specificity of how that material needs to be applied increases with some of these new materials that people are trying to develop. So I have only the utmost respect for growers who are working hard to keep the country well fed and to bring food to the grocery store. You don't want to make their jobs any more difficult. They've got enough to worry about. So that's the big hurdle for companies to clear, is to develop things that a farmer can say, okay, I have this product, I need to mix it with, X amount gallons of water, and then apply it, before sundown, and then apply it again 5 days later, and then I can see a result that, helps boost my bottom line, or helps boost the amount of stuff that I'm able to sell, and ultimately, provide that value. It's got to work, it's got to be realistic, and then it's got to be cost effective. There's a lot of interest in biological products. There's a big emphasis on crop safety, worker safety, safety for the consumer on the market side of things after the fact. A lot of what we see is companies that are looking to generate data on products that are claiming to be safer, but also more cost effective, and ultimately still being able to help growers solve the problems that they face with their production.